Namaste. Greetings to all of you. May this day be blessed to be one of the best days of your life. Let's go to the Lotus Sutras on experiencing being. New chapter on anger and criticism. Frequent anger brings bad luck. Use your head. Minimize anger. The purpose is not to suppress emotions, but to regulate them. When you remain calm, you're ready to focus on the target. So, what the teacher has done today is to make us understand, what has to be done in case if you're in a situation which provokes you to get angry, right? Look at this. The teacher does not say you cannot get angry, you should not get angry. That's not possible, right? Because when people do things that you don't like, there's a tendency to get anger. That's not a problem. But then, how do you manage anger? What do you do after you get angry? That is more important. Okay, so if you study the sutras carefully, it gives you a lot of information on that. The first thing he gives you is a warning. Frequent anger brings bad luck. The question is why? Why, right? Now, when you take decisions, when you are irritable, angry, or upset, your mind is not working in a peaceful manner, right? So, whenever you're thinking, especially when you're angry, your raw material is made out of grayish red energy, which can be violent raw material to do any good activity. So, this raw material, which is grayish red, can be used to provoke harm or hurt other people. In other words, you may be doing the right thing, but the way you do it can be miserable. So, this can get you into lots of trouble. Repeatedly doing such mistakes obviously will get bad luck to you. So, the teacher is telling, be careful, you know, getting angry is not a problem, but frequently, if you're getting it in a rhythmic manner, that will attract bad luck to you. That's a warning, right? And the next step he says is use your head. Head symbolizes the ability to think in a human being. So if you're able to think clearly, you'll find out what is the reason for this irritation and anger that is happening in your system. Okay? Instead of blaming people, you will try to understand, why do I get angry? What do I want instead? I don't like these people behaving or doing things the way they're doing right now. But I cannot get upset with this because I don't have any control on these people. So instead of getting emotionally polarized, the teacher is saying, use your head, meaning think clearly. That's the second one. Then he says, minimize anger. He never says, do not get angry. You make sure that it goes to the minimal level, to the extent it is well manageable within your limits, right? Then the key is here. The purpose is not to suppress emotions, but to regulate them. Now, when you're not thinking carefully, you tend to either explode aggressively, or the other option is you swing to the other side. You suppress all your emotions and you keep it to yourself. So, in this case, it looks like you're not talking negative or shouting at people, but then there's violent emotional reaction that is happening in your system. So the quality of thoughts and emotions, it affects people around you. You may not verbalizing anything negative, but the energy that you radiate can still be harmful for people, right? Then he says, when you remain calm, you're ready to focus on the target. It's not what they do, it's what you want from that particular scenario that is more important. I'll give you an example. Your children are misbehaving. They're not treating you well. They're arguing with you. They're going crazy. Is that a good reason to get angry? Maybe yes. But then what are you going to do after that? Now, if you're going to shout and yell at them, right, you will not be doing anything creative for them. Maybe your target is to make them study. Your target is to make them focus and get the work done. Maybe the homework, or they have to finish a certain set of lessons so that they prepare well for the exams. coming up in few days. So if that is your target, which means your target is to make the person feel relaxed, calm, more focused, so that the person's performance in exam will be better. But when you get irritable, angry, and shout at the person because the person is provoking you to do something negative or arguing with you, there's a tendency to lose awareness of what you want to achieve. Instead, you will make the person get into a very bad, ugly mood. So, in other words, you lose, your children lose. So, this sutra, if you study very carefully, it gives you the technique of what you have to do in case you have a situation which provokes you to get violently angry. Think about this. The whole day, you process the information that is given in the sutra. It can give you a lot of tips in handling real time life situations. Namaste. Good luck to all of you.